students, class number 5. We're going to get into some geography right now. As you can see behind my head, the map. It is geography 23. So go ahead and take out your reading right here, follow along. Some of it, I need my other one. Some of it I will be reading, some of it you will be left to read to yourself. But either way, here we go, we're gonna dig into it. So we're gonna start on page 13. And we're looking at Oceania, specifically Australia as the continent in that region. So let me review. All right, so we're gonna read a little bit, and a little bit starts off with some of the conditions in the islands. Next time you're in need of a tropical vacation, try Tahiti. I'll go. The beautiful beaches of the South Pacific have summer all year. Summertime highs rarely rise above 90 degrees, and wintertime lows don't typically dip below 70. I can handle that. While it does get wet and humid from time to time, most days sparkle with copious sunshine. So copious, abundant, a lot of sunshine. The wet season in December through February, and most Americans aren't even considering beach getaways. Gentle trade winds cool off the afternoon temperatures, and in the evening they provide just enough chill for a dip in the warm ocean. Plus, tourists don't have to contend with the hurricanes that the Gulf of Mexico experiences. That is very true. As one from Alabama, I can attest to that. And it's rarely stormy. Tahiti's sun-drenched climate is one of the island's biggest tourist draws. French Polynesia lies in a tropical, wet, and dry climate zone where rainy season is during the winter when mild humidity is prevalent. The mild climate is part of the driving force behind the bustling tourism industry, attracting tens of thousands to the white sandy beaches each year. Many of them Americans. Most islands in Oceania are similar. Warm temperatures, year-round cool trade winds, and fluctuating humidity levels that occasionally get a bit uncomfortable. Although 8 different climate zones exist in Oceania, most are found in Australia. So, we're looking at climate and precipitation. Now we get into an area where we look at climate and precipitation and how it helps to supply and bless the people who live there. Certain places, climate and precipitation really allow for the production of agricultural goods, crops, things like that. So for instance, around here, our temperature and really help in the production of citrus fruits, also through irrigation. But you try to grow citrus fruits there, it doesn't work as well. Plus, they're mostly island nations like Tahiti, small island nations that they don't have vast amounts of land to be able to grow crops. So how has the climate and precipitation really blessed them? Well, it's because their climate and their precipitation is wonderful for people who want to vacation. When the early explorers found these islands and discovered them for the people in the West, they found it was absolutely gorgeous. It was beautiful. And so the way in which the climate has helped to provide for places like Tahiti is that it's helped them to bring in income and bless their nation through tourism. Tourism is a huge part of their industry and the finances of their nation, which have really been affected over this past year because of COVID. So even though it's not the climate and participation isn't doing something necessarily for crops or building something, it's helping to bring in money because of the fact that people just want to be there. They want to go there for vacation or maybe even live. And so it draws people there and it helps to be a blessing to them and provide income for the people of those nations. All right, so let's keep going. From south to the north, New Zealand and part of southeastern Australia is a marine climate zone. Moderate to high humidity, frequent precipitation characterize this region. Adelaide and Perth, Australia, and their surrounding areas have a Mediterranean climate zone with warm summers and mild winters with seasonal rainfall. Above this, in a ring around the country, semi-arid zone appears, wide in the east, narrow in the north, and in the south. So if you look at your map right here, like this gives the climate zones. So you can see most of Australia is an arid climate zone. It means desert. But at the same time, you know, how has God provided life for Australia? Because it's a continent. It's actually, if you look at the map, it's the same size as the continental U.S. So how has God still provided for them? And he's provided for them in the means that through water, through rainy seasons, and also through rivers. Is that even though it's a dry, arid climate, there are still rivers that run through, and there's still seasons that are rainy, even though it's an arid, dry area. Let's see, I'm going to let you keep going, and I'm going to let you finish out page 14, read through, you've got some questions, and we're going to pick up on page, where I wanted to go. I'm going to pick up on page 15 right here at this paragraph where it says, most of Australia lies in a semi-arid or arid zone. Across the Australian outback, that's kind of the untamed areas, days are hot and nights are cold. Summers are even hotter and winters are even colder. Now, why would that be? Any ideas? Jonathan, do you know? Well, it has to do with the fact that when you're in an arid zone, a desert zone, and you can see on the map there's a lot of desert in this area, is that desert doesn't retain heat. Okay? Sandy areas, they don't hold on to heat very well. So daytime it gets hotter, and nighttime it actually can drop pretty cold. And that's why it says in the summer times it gets really hot, and winter times it actually cools off quite a bit. The region is desert, topographically and climatologically similar to the U.S. Southwest. Few people live in the region, but a few small towns exist. Often summertime highs can near or top 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but nights hover in the 50s or 60s. That's quite a drastic change. In towns like Alice Springs, winter can mean bundling up in temperatures at or below freezing. Generally speaking, the farther inland, the more dramatic the temperature swings are, which is characteristic of interior areas of large land masses. So the further inland you go, the greater varied is the temperature. That's how you say it, not the greater variety of temperature, but it's varied more. It's highs and it's lows. So we stopped right here. I'm going to let you keep going. I'll make sure I get everything to you. There's one more area I wanted to read. Okay. So we will pick up right here. It says, because the ground receives little water and because the terrain is so flat, flash floods are a major hazard when tropical storms push south. So what are flash floods? Flash floods are floods occurring rapidly due to heavy rainfall and overflowing rivers or streams. And what happens in Australia is the fact that it's because it's so arid and dry, there are places where water goes, but there's not existing waterways. And so they'll have these large, heavy downpours, and suddenly you'll have areas of rivers that are moving very rapidly with large amounts of water because they've gotten large amounts of water dumped in from rain, and it can really wash out areas and be very, very dangerous in terms of mudslides. It can be very dangerous in terms of flooding people's houses, flooding areas, basically taking cars and moving them with the water because it's flooding so bad. And so that's where it really lies in the danger for people, is that they've got to be very careful that if there are flash floods that start to occur, they really need to get out of there. And so even though it doesn't happen very often, the danger is when it happens, is that people are made aware, because otherwise they can lose their lives because of it. And it can happen very quickly over the course of a nighttime. A place that was completely dry and arid, looks like desert, has almost now like a rushing river going through it because of the amount of rain that's come down. So I'll have you do the rest of the reading. So do the rest of the reading. Got a few more questions to answer. All of them are not too bad. If you have any questions, please let me know. Give me a call, text message. Otherwise, see you later. And stopping the video, trying to.